Well, everyone, One UI 5 has just officially came out. Well, it's been out for like a little bit of time now, and iOS 16 has officially been out for a little bit of time now as well. So let's go and see how both these softwares compare. Now, I took both my iPhone 14 Pro and Galaxy S22. These are kind of the most comparable phones I can think of that are like side by side. So I want to talk about some of the main features between both and kind of compare some things here and there. Now, the one thing I want to say is the One UI 5 update was very interesting, but Samsung still has to fix one thing, and I want to get it out of the way. Their updates, they need to make sure that their phones get the same day updates like on iOS. I had to wait so long for this update to come, even for my Galaxy S22, even when so many other people have it, but that's fine. But with my Galaxy S21 and S20, a lot of people own these phones too, and for some reason we have to wait a long period of time. That's one thing I love about iPhones. They basically get the same day updates. When one phone gets an update, the other one gets an update too. Now, in this case, one of the coolest things within One UI 5 is actually with the lock screen. So now we have the ability of customizing our lock screen with a ton of customizability. So basically, what we can do, very similar to iOS 16, you can hold down on the lock screen right here, and you can go ahead and customize your lock screen a little bit more. Now, if I go and show you on iOS 16, so if I go and hold it down, you can see that there's a lot of similarity here, but there's also some differences. All we have to do here is click like the customize button, and we can choose, I guess, like the wallpaper here too. And then what we can do, and you can see that it's a little bit of a similarity here, which is actually very interesting. So on iOS 16, we have the ability of customizing the text up here, time, all these widgets down here. I don't think we have the ability of adding widgets to our lock screen yet, but we do have the ability of increasing or decreasing our time. So what we can do is basically increase the size of our time or decrease the size of our time, and that is something on iOS 16 we don't have. It pretty much just stays the same time. We can also come here and choose how it's presented. So that's probably not the best coloring style. I probably needed something more like black or something like that. I don't know why that color is the first one chosen. But as you can see, we can choose our colors, which is very similar to iOS 16. You can change the way it's presented. You can also go ahead and change your wallpaper. You can now also change these widgets and these app icons from here. So if you want, you can change your icon here. You can change it to something else. And that is something on iOS 16 we don't have. But on One UI, we don't have the ability of adding widgets. So that is a really cool thing here that I'm actually really obsessed with. I love adding widgets. It kind of sucks up a little bit of battery. But regardless, that is a really cool thing here. But it does seem like to me that One UI has a little bit more capability in some ways, like changing the time, changing the fonts and everything. But that is one thing that kind of stood out to me, which is actually really nice. Now, outside of the lock screen, there's also some other cool things within our One UI device. One thing that I actually like is the ability of stacking widgets. So before, with the One UI, I think we've always had the ability of using widgets on Androids. We've recently gotten the ability of using widgets on iPhones, but if you go and click here, if you click on widgets, we now have, I guess, a little bit of a cooler widget styling that we can choose from. That's probably the best way to put it. So if you want to click here, you can choose your widgets, which came on One UI 4 that are much nicer than before, but you also have stacked widgets now, which is really cool. That's another really cool feature. Now, one other cool thing that just came out, I don't know if it's been out or if it just came out, but according to Samsung's websites, we have the ability now of basically drag and dropping to get into split screen multitasking. So before the split screen multitask, you had to click here, then you had to like click split screen multitask. Well, now there's a newer way. If you swipe up with two fingers, it should automatically take you there. For some reason, I've been trying it. It's not working, but you do have this cool thing here where you can go ahead and drag an application like this from your recent. So hold it down and you can basically swipe it either in a pop-up view like this. You can swipe it up here or you can swipe it down here. That is a really cool thing. And I don't know, again, it says it's new on Samsung's website. I'm assuming it's new. I've never used it before, but that is another really cool thing we have within One UI 5. Now, this thing I want to go ahead and demonstrate to you guys. Samsung says that there are now smoother animations within One UI. So compared to iOS 16, well, compared to One UI 4, there should be smoother animations. So I want to test this out between the animations between both. So is iOS 16 or One UI animation smoother? They're both at a 120 hertz. Let's go check it out. Okay, there we go. So I have iOS 16 here, One UI here. So let's just go and open up their phone applications. And for me, it doesn't seem like anything really was different. So if I go and swipe up and kind of swipe around, everything seems kind of the same. They both seem very, very smooth if I go and swipe out both ways. Now, one thing I've always seen is if I go into like certain applications like this one and I swipe between apps, I've always found it to be a little glitchy on Androids. So let's go and try it out. If we can go and try it out and see like this way, both seem fairly smooth. It doesn't really seem to be that big of an issue. And yeah, both seem fairly smooth, so that's really good. I don't really think one is way faster than the other one. Swiping between pages, if I go slower, I know at the way I'm filming this right now, it's at 30 frames per second, but immediately I don't see anything that sticks out to me that either phone is way slower or way faster. I will say that there seems to be a little bit more of a push a little bit on One UI. It seems like if you just go fast, it kind of like speeds up a little bit, which is actually kind of nice. I've never seen that before. I don't know if that's new. Getting into their app drawer, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Again, it's kind of hard to tell, but that was the one thing that kind of stood out to me. Now, if I go and make my way over to their camera section right here, we can try kind of the same thing too. So let's go and take a photo. Okay, this one does on night mode. And now opening up this photo application, see the animation 3, 2, 1. Very smooth on One UI. I still think iPhone might be a little bit smoother, but One UI would typically glitch up quite a bit. So if we go and try it again, that's actually much smoother. I'm actually really, really surprised about that. Hopping out of this one, again, there would always be random glitches, even on my One UI, on my One UI 4 device, like on the Galaxy S22. So the fact that we're getting some differences here is actually really, really impressive. So I'm really happy about that. So now if we go and kind of scroll through their photos here, let's see if there's a difference, if there's some glitchiness. Seems pretty same. Let's go and take a photo. Let's open up the photo. I mean, I'm actually pretty surprised about the animations here. I think both of them are doing very, very well. And I will say, the fact that Samsung had mentioned on their release page that the One UI animations have been getting smoother, and the fact that it kind of does seem like it's smoother, I don't know if it's like placebo or something, but that is kind of a cool thing that I'm actually really surprised about. Now, that's enough of One UI. I will say a few things about iPhones that I actually do like with iOS 16. First of all, of course, you have the ability of customizing the lock screen, a few different things like that. But within iOS 16, we have the ability of seeing our Wi-Fi password. That is a really cool thing. I don't think we have that on One UI yet, but that is a really cool thing that we have the capability here. That is awesome. We also have the capability of using live text in video and in photos. So what this basically means is if you have an image, you can actually go ahead and copy text from that image just like this. If we go and make my way over to our gallery application here, if we go and load up this image, on One UI, we do have the ability of copying text, which is really cool, but we don't have the ability of copying text within video yet, I don't believe. So that is another thing that might stand out. As you can see, it's just no ability of copying text. It's not a big deal, but it is one of those things to keep in mind. Now, on top of that, and this is probably one of the bigger things within iOS 16, and it's kind of a little controversial, but just the ability of basically unsending sent messages, editing sent iMessages, and basically unreading read messages as well. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. And just that in and of itself is absolutely insane to me, and I'm so happy, Apple ended up adding those types of capabilities because those are really big deals. The fact that we have that type of capability on these devices is actually really awesome, and that is something that's not on Android yet, and I don't even think it probably will ever happen unless somehow Apple and Google kind of team up together to kind of fix those specific things. So overall, what I can definitely tell you is both these phone softwares are great. They both have features that the other one doesn't. I would say one of the coolest features here is probably live text and video, and probably I would say editing sent messages. That is crazy. On One UI, I love the ability that we have split screen multitasking, and there's been improvements there. We still don't even have split screen multitasking on iPhones. So hopefully Apple can change some things in the future, but that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.